Did you really think the first Thursday after I've made this big commitment and announcement to being punctual, being consistent, would come and go and I wouldn't have a video? You did. I know you did. Don't lie. You thought that was going to happen. Well, shame on you. I still have time. It's still Thursday. I'm driving home. This is going to be a quick one. I don't know if you remember, I used to do I can't even talk. I used to do car talk, I think it was Thursdays, car talk Thursdays. I think that's what it was. Well, today's Thursday. I'm bringing back car talk because there's definitely gonna be days where it's just too busy. I'm in my car. This is gonna be the communication. A couple weeks ago, I had this squeaking sound in my car. It was the back rear wheel was just squeaking nonstop. Anytime I hit the brake, it went away. And that sound was driving me bananas. I live in this car. As you know, I'm always talking on this. That's a ADD moment here. Do you like that? Do you dislike that? Do you hate that I'm always in the car? Let me know. But it was driving me crazy. So I had these recall notices for my car. I decided to take it to the dealership. The dealership called me back to tell me that they were gonna do the oil change. They identified what the squeaky wheel was. It was my brakes needed to be fixed. They also noticed that my engine light was on. Well, when I dropped the car off, the engine light wasn't on. They gave me this long list of things that need to be fixed because of the engine light. Something with a solenoid line, and I don't know any of that. I'm not a mechanic. Luckily, my father-in-law is a mechanic. So I told them to wait. I definitely needed the recall stuff done, and they could go ahead and do an oil change, which needed to be done, but not to do anything else until I called them back. Called my father-in-law. The dealership quoted me like $2,500 to do these repairs. My father-in-law said it could be done for just over $1,000. So I called them back, told them not to do anything other than the oil change and the recall. They took care of that. I took it to my father-in-law. He took care of it. My car's running great. So the question is why? Why am I talking about this? Well, the reason I'm talking about this is because it made me think about my job. And I hate when I'm at a green light and everybody looks in my car and sees that I'm talking to this camera that's set up. So awkward. It made me think of my job, and it made me think of my patients, because in my industry, a lot of times AFib is considered secondary. And to bring it all for full circle, it's that squeaky wheel the sound that my wheel was making while I was driving my car. AFib's like that. AFib is this nuisance that patients know they have. They're winded, their quality of life is terrible. They have trouble getting upstairs. It's something terrible to live with, and they know they have it. And why it made me think about work is because to surgeons, what they recognize is vital, is what's extremely important for them to fix in terms of the patient, are other things like their mitral valve, any valve type of repair. They might need valves taken care of. They might need a bypass done. They might have an aortic dissection. These are things that in a surgeon's world can kill a patient and are devastating. So the surgeon sees this as the primary focus of what they need to fix to make the patient better. And the AFib is secondary. To me though, as a patient advocate and as somebody that is really selling the concept and selling the importance of treating AFib is somewhat secondary, but AFib is sometimes the root cause to all these issues. Because what happens, if you don't know what AFib is, your heart goes thump, 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 thump. It beats in rhythm, and you have an electrical pathway that tells your heart when to beat and when it should beat. Well, when you're an AFib, your atrium doesn't beat, your heart isn't going thump, 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 thump. Your ventricle is typically beating normally, your atrium is quivering, so it's not beating properly. The electrical pathway is all messed up. Well, when that happens and when your heart's not beating normally, what they call normal sinus rhythm, the atrium starts to remodel. It gets bigger, the tissue gets thicker, it changes. Well, when it changes, sometimes those changes can cause the issues with the valve. It can cause you're more likely to have stroke. There's so many underlying issues because of the AFib that contribute to structural heart issues that, yes, it's not primary. People will say people don't die from AFib. Maybe that's true, but AFib isn't helping fix the issue. So when you're doing these procedures and a surgeon's doing these procedures where they crack the chest open and the heart's sitting right there and they're going to do a mitral valve repair, it's so important for them to address the AFib so they can hopefully get the patient's heart beating in sinus rhythm, and in turn, these other issues don't continue to become worse. And that's what we're doing. And I guess where I was going with this, again, this car talk, it's supposed to be short, is that noise in my car was the AFib for me in car terms. It wasn't catastrophic. My car wasn't going to blow up because of a squeaky left rear wheel. But you go into a mechanic, the mechanic might say your pistons need to be replaced, your cam rods, is that it? Cam rods, rods, cams? I don't know cars. Is that a thing? If you're a car, maybe I'm an idiot. But those things under your hood in the engine block, the mechanic sees those as, these are devastating if something goes wrong. If the piston doesn't have lubrication and it goes through the engine block, that's a big deal. Surgeons see it the same way. That aortic dissection is a big deal. That's primary. But me, as somebody that drives the car, hears that squeaky noise in the wheel, that's what drives me nuts. AFib is what drives patients nuts. And it's so cool to work in an industry where you can help be an advocate for why it's important to treat. And I had an experience with one of my surgeons that came back to me after he treated a patient. The patient was in tears. They didn't care about the mitral valve that was replaced or any of what the surgeon felt was the primary stuff. They were in tears because he fixed their AFib. They were in normal sinus rhythm. They were getting better every day. Their quality of life was better. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I put this camera down sometimes and it takes a back seat, because I live and work in a world where if you're not doing your job properly, people can die. And I love it. I love everything I do. It's why this takes a back seat. That's Car Talk Friday. It's long. I'm gonna have to edit this down. That's it, Car Talk Friday. I'm not gonna ramble. That's a goal. I'm not gonna ramble this year. Short and sweet. But I made it. Kevin, you texted me, reminding me, thank you, but I didn't forget. It was coming. So that's it. See you later. See ya!